So the Wuthering Waves anniversary is in full swing right now, and while it's very colorful and eye-catching with your favorite waifus turning into cubes and whatnot, I'm afraid things aren't looking good for the future of the game. No, I'm not talking about the anniversary banner still having a 50-50. No, I'm not talking about the free tentpoles that are locked until after Zani's banner. I'm not even talking about the kinda sorta spending event. No, what I'm talking about is what you can expect from the future focus of Wuthering Waves story. Hi, I'm Vincent, and I'm worried about this game. Let's start with what the anniversary does right. There's a solid spread of content to dig into that will keep any player engaged for a few good hours. The cube event is surprisingly fun. It pushes you through increasingly difficult levels using customizable cube companions with unique traits and abilities. There's enough there to keep you going through all 21 levels, and let's be honest, the cubes are absolutely adorable, and that alone is reason enough to give it a shot. The derby event just has you rolling dice to traverse the game board and gather up rewards. There's not much gameplay here, it's just something to do after you finish your dailies and get some free goodies. Though I will say that I am pretty sure this game mode is rigged because I've never rolled so many nat ones in a row in my life. The Gilded Market is kind of a spending event, but I'm pretty sure it gives out enough tokens to get the tentpole without having to spend. Everything else though, that depends on whether you're pulling for Zani or not. The Travelogue event, a cube-based trip down memory lane, is fun in a silly way, letting you revisit key story moments through AI versions of the cast. Harmless fluff and kinda charming. While not necessarily part of the anniversary itself, Zani's companion quest was pretty good. It's a filler story designed to get you to understand more about Zani and her past. The set pieces were nice, making you explore this underground encampment as you take down a gang of thugs. I'll give it to Kuro Games for finally designing a character that isn't glazing Rover. Zani comes off as more of a partner to the Rover rather than a raging fangirl. Even at the end when Zani lets you pat her head, if you decide to touch her horns instead, she's going to tell you off for it. This is great. While it's not perfect, since you still have certain moments when Zani tacitly agrees that you're stronger than her, it's still a step in the right direction. Now, all Kuro needs to do is let someone absolutely mop the floor with the Rover. Not out of spite, but to finally inject some tension and humility into a story that desperately needs stakes.
I f***ing love steak.
I know.
Overall, the anniversary manages to encompass that festive spirit. The events are just fun ways of spending your time, interacting with characters in silly ways, and taking a break from the usual day-to-day grind. And this is exactly why it's a problem. See, it's not about the events themselves, it's what they suggest. They're sending a signal that Kuro may be leaning towards safe, superficial content over meaningful story progression. Here's the thing, the anniversary focuses on cute, wholesome moments that you spend with companions you've met along the way. It's fitting for an anniversary, but if you take a closer look, you'll also see some imperfections. For example, why the hell is Kalcharo in the cutscene? No, scratch that, why is he in Renacida at all? From all that we've played so far from the beginning of the game up until now, we've not even had our first encounter with this guy. He has been part of no major story event, nor does he even have his own companion quest. Lore-wise, we don't know who this guy is, and yet here he is, part of the anniversary, as if he's a close friend. Same for Yuan-Wu and Dan-Jin, shown off in celebratory key art without having earned the place narratively. My point here is that Kuro Games is trying to get us to feel something from having all of these characters join up with us. These were all supposed to be characters we've met and developed a good relationship with, but in the case of these three, we have absolutely no emotional attachment. Kuro is presenting a complete cast and story arc when we're nowhere near that. It's performative, projecting progress that hasn't actually happened. You can say it's a small thing, and yes, it is, since they're not even on screen for a full minute, but the point that I'm trying to make is that this is sending a message on what Kuro Games considers acceptable. It's acceptable for them to ship out an incomplete experience. Now, in the spirit of fairness, I will add that I do think this is still one of the lingering negative impacts of them having to redesign, rewrite, and reorganize the story 3 months before its original launch. But this is also an aspect I talked about in my HSR video, where they tried having a big emotional payoff without any narrative investment and fell short. It'd be remiss of me to bash on HSR for doing this, but give Wuthering Waves a free pass. Then there's the fact that the first anniversary, the biggest milestone since launch, delivers zero meaningful story content. Really? We got nothing that has a bit more substance, a bit more impact? All we have is the happy fun times of the anniversary, which is disjointed, more on that in a bit, and Zani's companion quest, which was okay, but still filler? Why is the anniversary story disjointed, you ask? Well, the premise of the story is that Encore invites you to try out the game she had a hand in making, and this is what brings you to the Cube world. This world is basically a computer simulation, and any of the companion cubes you meet here are basically just AI replicas created from their real-life counterparts. Let's not go into too much detail about the existential dread that something like that should trigger in a perfect copy of someone's personality. Seriously, if you've seen one episode from Black Mirror, you should know that figuring out that you're an AI with with memories of your real life and being forever stuck in a computer simulation is not a pleasant experience. For the majority of the anniversary event, you spend time with these AI cubes and not the real characters. They may be copies, and you'd be forgiven if you thought they might give you the same reactions of the genuine article, but if you read the glossary, you realize that their personalities and actions in the game do not reflect those of real individuals. And just like that, any emotional weight those moments could have had dissolves. You're not bonding with the characters, you're talking to holograms who won't remember a thing. That also means that the genuine article will have no memory of spending time with you like this, which then feeds into the anniversary cutscene at the end. While you're in the game world and playing with the AI cubes, they're out in the real world and have no clue any of this is going on, and yet we're treated with a few comic panels showing how the cubes band together to save the anniversary that was ruined by a Bowser. And then it immediately transitions to Renacita, where everyone is putting on a real-life anniversary event. How? Why? I rewatched the footage and I'm sure I didn't miss anything, so how did we go from the Cube World simulation to holding an anniversary in real life and everyone acting like they're aware of what happened in the game world? What is this inconsistency? It's disjointed and it breaks immersion. Worse, it shows a lack of care in stitching the story together. That's worrying, because just a patch ago in 2.2, the storytelling was getting better, more grounded, more focused, and now this feels like a step backward. Someone suggested that the anniversary cutscene might actually take place inside the computer simulation, meaning all the characters we see are still just AI replicas. I don't have concrete proof of that, but let's say it's true. If that's the case, I honestly don't know which is worse, the inconsistent writing or the idea that rovers spent their 1-year anniversary surrounded by glorified AI chatbots. Here's what really stings. It's clear that Kuro has the capacity for good storytelling and character development, but something is holding them back. Whether that be the lingering issues caused by the rewriting of the story or their dedication to providing fan service or other factors, I can't say for sure. But let me remind you of the true potential of Wuthering Waves. The potential that everyone could see before the game launched. This game held the promise of a much darker story than any of the big four. It was a game set in a true post-apocalyptic world where the threat of the Lament and its subsequent Tacit Discord invasion was ever present. A world where being constantly on high alert was not uncommon. A world where expeditions out into the wild could immediately go south, where powerful resonators were few and far between, requiring patrol squads to be supplemented with non-resonator combatants fighting against overwhelming odds for survival. A world with tensions so high that an entity with powers as unexplainable as the rovers triggered the immediate distrust of Chixia to the point where she pulls a gun on them, registering the rover as a threat. And if that weren't enough, you have the Fraxidus playing a game behind the scenes. A game that you're not even aware you're playing and don't know the rules of on top. And what did we get instead? Chixia and pretty much everyone accepting and fawning over the rover like crazy, the region of Jinzhou being an overall peaceful area that allows its citizens to thrive. There's no trace of the sprawling metropolis ruins shown in the trailer anywhere in the world. We haven't seen Scar in ages, his plot lost to the sands of time. The Lament is such a rare event, it's barely a threat to day-to-day life. The entire region of Renacita is a beautiful fairy tale-like region where the only remaining threat left is that posed by the Order and squabbling aristocrats. We traded apocalyptic dread for a low-stakes turf war between two mafia-flavored families. Wuthering Waves still has potential, but with every update that plays it safe, that ignores the harder edges of its world, that tries to sell us characters instead of stories, that potential fades. It seems that what we're in for in the future is just an inoffensive story where everyone adores the rover with very little substance, very little nuance, and very few risks. My only hope for a complex, nuanced character is the new Resonator coming after Chacona, which is rumored to be Frolova, the very same member of the Fraxidus that caused a lot of trouble in Renacita by controlling the Dragon of Dirge and Cetus the Tidebreaker, threatening to ruin the carnival. I will be very interested to see how exactly her story develops and under what circumstances she will become a playable character. But if she's softened up, turned into another flirty waifu, or redeemed with a single cutscene, then it's over. We'll know Kuro isn't willing to take risks. And if I'm being honest, I'm kind of expecting this to be the outcome. I don't believe Kuro has the courage to go against the Gathering Wife sentiment. Like any gacha game, they want to sell characters, and the main way of doing that is by making the players like or fall in love with said characters. Creating a character that is morally dubious or even hostile towards the player has a chance of causing the sales for that character to drop. But I am of the firm belief that characters with edge can sell, if they're written well, if they're allowed to be flawed, if they actually have arcs. And if we're just getting a parade of safe, marketable, always adoring companions, then yeah, I'm worried. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. Like, comment, and subscribe for more, and tell me, what do you think about the anniversary? Do you agree with the sentiment that Wuthering Waves is going down the safe path and sacrificing good, dramatic storytelling in favor of making characters as appealing to players as possible? Or do you think they have something else planned? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, have a good one.